Warning, there may be some spoilers for some games in this, so before you watch it, just know that. And if you don't want to be spoiled about those games, don't watch it. Hey everybody! Welcome to some more Zelda month shit. I know how you guys just absolutely adore the top lists, but this time, it's just one of those top fives. It's top fives. And the way I say that is because you notice from the whole name drop in the title is that, there's not just me here. I mean, I wanted to do my top 10 Zelda themes, music from Zelda games. But, I kind of thought, it's going to be a little bit boring to just hear me say, this song is cool 10 times in a row for my explanations. So I thought I would bring in someone who actually knows something about music. Because, I don't understand all of that musical mumbo jumbo myself. But I brought in my brother, Seth Lilly. You should know, because we're brothers, so we have the last name same is the... And, basically, we're just going to both present our top 5, Zelda themes and try to explain, why. And I think he might have more interesting facts about the things. I, on the other hand, am purely going off of my own experiences, which I think are much more valuable to hear. Wouldn't you agree? I will pretend that you agreed at this point. Thank you for agreeing. And I think to start off, we should, because he's the guest, right? He's a guest. So we're going to start with him, and mostly because I want to have the last word, because it's about me. This has always just been about me. Well, let's see what he's got.
Spoiler alert, all the themes on my list, unless otherwise stated, were composed by Koji Kondo, a man so well known and respected I don't think I need to go into detail on him or all the video game music he's composed over the years. So let's get started, shall we? Alright, let's start out with music that was actually not composed by the legendary Koji Kondo. There were other Zelda composers, Akito Nakatsuka is almost as much of a legend himself in the video game music world, having composed the music for such fondly remembered gems as Devil World, Clu Clu Land, Excitebike, Ice Climber, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, and, what do you know, Zelda 2. He's also possibly the composer, can anyone here read Japanese? Of a couple of great games in the I Am a Teacher series on the Famicom Disk System, Basic Hand Knitting, and Mario's Greatest Adventure, Super Mario's Sweater. I have no idea what's going on here. Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link is the often forgotten sequel to the original classic on the NES. While the original is unanimously regarded as a masterpiece, this one tends to get lukewarm reception. Common complaints of the game are, it's too hard, it's too different from the original, they should have used standard Arabic numbers for the title instead of Roman numerals. Okay, I may have made that last one up. But although all of those complaints are valid, Zelda 2 is still a really fun game. So it dishes up a bit of a challenge now and again. Okay, it makes you want to hurl your controller across the room and flip over your pizza box in anger. But that's all part of the Zelda experience. And when you got to a palace and this theme started playing, you knew you were in for tough times ahead. I think it's important for a game like Zelda, which has certain dungeon crawling elements, to have an appropriate theme for dungeons or other levels with bosses to really amp up the sense of dread and anxiety. If you walk through the ominous front door and the music doesn't fit, it just doesn't put you in the right mood. Another game that got this right was the original Legend of Zelda, which had a short but very effective dungeon theme. 10 minutes of this and you just wanted to chuck a bomb into a Dodongo's mouth and get out of there. So there, we have coming in at number 5, the Zelda 2 Palace theme, with the original Legend of Zelda's dungeon theme getting an honorable mention.
Number 5. Hyrule Field. Now this is the Hyrule Field theme from Twilight Princess I'm talking about here. I really, really like this theme. I mean, I like the one from Ocarina of Time just fine. Just fine. But I like this one better just because it feels a little more serious, I guess, and it's a little darker, which I really like in the musical tone. And just overall, like just in general, the way it sounds, the arrangements of notes, and the fact that it's on, it's obviously higher quality instrument sounds and everything on this newer game. So I overall just like it a lot better. It feels like better for the adventure, and it's I think it's a theme I got to hear more of as well. So hopefully I can play you a few not a few, but a little clip here, and to give you sort of an idea of why it's so cool. Check it.
If atmosphere is what you're looking for in a video game, then Majora's Mask on the Nintendo 64 is a pretty good place to look. If a cheery, happy atmosphere is what you're looking for, you might want to look somewhere else. Majora's Mask has earned a reputation as one of the darkest games in the Zelda series, and this is rightfully so. When the entire plot hinges on saving the world from an impending collision with the moon, you know you're dealing with something a little more philosophically heavy than usual. The Song of Healing makes my list because it perfectly encapsulates the atmosphere of Majora's Mask as a whole. It's a simple, very sparsely orchestrated tune. The most prominent instrument is a lonely piano, accompanied only by a soft synth pad. It's mysterious, it's desperate, it's a little creepy. I can't think of a better way to capture the mood of a video game like this. I have to give another honorable mention here to Midna's Desperation from Twilight Princess, which was composed by either Toru Minegishi or Asuka Ota. They both worked on the game's music under supervision by Koji Kondo, and often get credited together. I wanted to include this theme on the list for most of the same reasons I chose the Song of Healing. Midna's Desperation distills all the darkness and longing of Twilight Princess as a whole into one simple piece of music. Not only that, but it includes a brief snippet of music that's used as a motif elsewhere in the game's score. Using short themes like this in multiple places in the score gives the game a much more cohesive feeling. Thumbs up!
Number 4. Song of Storms! Yes, the Song of Storms from Ocarina of Time. This song is pretty short, and it's a little repetitive, but I really like it. It's a super catchy loop that I can listen to a lot. In fact, you might find yourself listening to it a bunch until it's totally stuck in your head and you can't get it out, and it just drives you insane, kind of like the guy in the windmill, right? It kind of fits. And this one's short enough, so I might be able to play you at least a whole round of the loop or something, and it we'll see. But it's just one that stuck with me, and that is always super catchy, and it's like, wow, I could just listen to this for way too long, and sometimes do.
A conversation with the average Zelda fan about the temples in Ocarina of Time usually goes something like this. The Shadow Temple's annoying because you have to keep bringing up the Lens of Truth and wasting your magic. The Spirit Temple's annoying because you have to go through it as young Link and adult Link. The Water Temple's annoying because it's the worst thing ever and you have to go so slow, and I just get like so bored, you know? The Forest Temple's annoying because it has that creepy, weird music. The Fire Temple's the coolest! Although I'd love to talk about the Fire Temple because it has one of the most interesting stories behind its theme. Or should I say, it's two different themes, depending on whether you have the controversial original version of the game or a revised later game. I could talk about that at a later time, but what I want to include on this list is that creepy, weird music from the Forest Temple. The design in this dungeon hints at some of the more surreal elements later Zelda games would incorporate into their design. The music transcends traditional action-packed or even atmospheric dungeon music and seems to suspend the player in time, locked in a sort of dream state. It defies explanation. I guess either it really pulls you in and you love it, or you just think it's creepy and weird. That's okay too.
Number 3. Gerudo Valley. I really like this whole guitar Spanishy thing with some trumpets in there too. This whole tune is just really cool because it feels a lot different than the rest of the game. I guess I don't know if I mentioned it's from Ocarina of Time. If I forgot to mention that, it's from Ocarina of Time. That's the one I mean. And you just ride into, the valley, and it's like all this stuff starts up, and it's kind of like a desert place, and you're like, wow, this is going to be cool. This is not going to necessarily be like the rest of the game. And it's a cool place where you're like, oh, there's all these, these thieves hanging out, and they're a bunch of sexy ladies. And oh, look at this, I gotta jump a bridge and go and infiltrate and do stealth stuff in this huge fortress that they have, and then get lost in the fucking desert. I mean, it's just to wander around in a sandstorm to find shit. It's so cool. It's a cool part of the game. And this song is just real badass. It makes you just feel awesome for being there. And you know what? I just might like it.
When it comes to A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo, there's a lot of solid music that comes to mind. When Koji Kondo scored this game, he made sure to make it chock fuller than ever before with memorable music. The original Legend of Zelda only had about 3 major themes. You had your overworld, dungeon, and Death Mountain themes, with some other little tunes sprinkled in here and there. Zelda 2 had a little more, with an overworld, cave, palace, and town music as major themes. The soundtrack to A Link to the Past is longer than both of the first game's soundtracks combined. A lot of tunes stand out from the soundtrack to me, but the one I want to include on this list is the theme from Hyrule Castle. This music is, for lack of a better explanation, one of the most kick-ass dungeon, castle, whatever themes in all of video games. It sets a dark and moody tone, it fills you with a sense of dread, and it rocks out at the same time. It truly makes you feel like you're a small but brave hero entering a large adventure, unsure of the dangers that lie ahead. It strikes a perfect balance between an epic, heroic opus and a dark, brooding march. Seriously, this music belongs in a sword and sorcery film.
Number 2. Overworld. Now, I know you probably like the overworld theme from the first Legend of Zelda. That's the one that a lot of people know. The one in A Link to the Past is basically a Super Nintendo rendition of that. And that's also cool. It's a fine theme. I like it. But I really liked the one in Link's Awakening just a bit more. Maybe partially because I love the game more than I should, but also because it just adds this extra little bit to it, this extra flair, and this new part to it that I think really helps fit with the whole adventure-y thing and the whole uniqueness of Link's Awakening. So I hope I said Link's Awakening both times there and not A Link to the Past again. We'll find out in post now, won't we? So I like it, and I think if you like the original overworld theme, you'll probably like this one too because it's fairly similar, and they reused it later, and I like it in Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons just as much. So maybe, just maybe, it's not all about the game, and has something to do with that music itself. Let's listen.
I don't think it would be right to put this music anywhere else on this list but in the #1 spot. The overworld theme from the original Legend of Zelda on the NES is one of the supreme masterpieces in video game music composition. It's almost as memorable as the Super Mario Bros. Theme. When you're 6 years old and you're exploring a vast landscape for hours using nothing but your wits and maybe a fold-out map if you were lucky enough to have a Nintendo Power subscription, this music was your best friend on the adventure. It's immediately inviting, compelling you to step inside a large, unexplored world and discover its secrets for yourself. It's important in a game with so little variety in its music for each theme to be tolerable, since you're going to be hearing it for hours on end. Luckily, it's almost impossible to get bored with this theme, and it's been reused in at least an abbreviated form in subsequent Zelda games for a reason. This theme, and this game in general, is a timeless classic that will hopefully be remembered in future generations as one of the landmarks in video game history, much like Citizen Kane is to film history, or sliced bread is to bread history.
Number 1. Tal Tal Heights. Yes. Yes. This is my #1 theme from a Zelda game because it's just... this is not only one of my favorite themes from a Zelda game, or hell, my favorite theme from a Zelda game, but it's one of my favorite themes in video games of all time. So it's a great piece of music. I like it because it's very catchy. It's it's memorable. It's something I can hear the melody of later and be like, oh fuck yeah, it's Tal Tal Heights. It's awesome, and it gets me super pumped when I go up there and just hear it starts up, and it just has so much energy, and it's so cool, and it sounds all Zelda-y, and it just... the only real downside of the song is that it makes me not want to leave the mountains or go into the caves or anything, because I don't want the song to stop. And maybe if they just played it throughout the entire game, then I would be satisfied. It's possible I would get sick of it, but the probability of that's very low. It's very fucking low. So let's go ahead and check out this rad-ass theme. I said rad-ass. You heard me right. that's all of them. I just I at this point I'm recording this. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't know what Seth's picks were or what he said. So let's just pretend like I know. And oh yes, those are very good. I like those astute observations, and that's about as far as I can pretend because I'm not very good at acting, as you all know, or should know, if you follow my stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, watch every video, do all the stuff. Anyways, those are the themes I like the most, and obviously the themes he liked the most and the reasons. You saw the video, you know what it was. And, be sure to share, your hatred of our picks in the comments, and tell us what instead you liked better and why. Or just be a douchebag and, tell me that, I'm a loser and I should kill myself, because that's easier. That's what you wanted. It's what you want to do anyways, and it's what you want. It's all you want to do anyway. Just say it. Just put it in the comments and say it. Do it. I can take it. I don't care. I don't fucking care. And I think that's all of them. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have some back and forth in the comments if you want. And it's been a celebration. I hope you guys stick around for this continuing celebration of this thing that we like to call Zelda Month.